'Twas 13 days before Christmas, and all through the kitchen, holiday recipes were being made. Ones the whole family can pitch in. Well, at least it rhymes. I'm Michelle Bernstein, and today we're making some Christmas recipes that may become your family's favorites here on SoFlo Taste.
This is South Florida. It's where I live and work. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. South Florida is more than sun, sand, and sea. It's a lifestyle of fashion, sound, culture, and of course, food. Food with taste from all over the world. Join me as we celebrate the food of South Florida
And the people who love it.
Join me as we experience SoFlo Taste.
Hello, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein here at the festive Miami Culinary Institute on the Wolfson campus of Miami-Dade College. Welcome to a special holiday SoFlo Taste. Newsflash, there are only 13 days left till Christmas. Even though Christmas comes on December 25th every year, somehow it just sneaks up on us. This is a holiday where food plays a leading role, and those holidays are my favorite. So let's get cooking. The first thing I'll show you is something I created about 15, 16 years ago. People still ask me to make my chestnut soup a couple times a year, and I will share this recipe with you. The first thing is chestnuts. I've got some in the oven, roasting, hopefully already roasted. Okay, so these are whole chestnuts that have been roasted. A little warm to the touch here. Let me show you what it looks like. Now, the reason why it's opened is because when you roast a chestnut, as my mother told me, you have to make an X on the top of it, because if not, they explode in the oven. So you make the little X, you throw it into a 400-degree oven, and they cook or roast within about 6 to 8 minutes. And then look how easy this is. It's a little warm still. I would wait till it cools off a little bit, but it comes right out of its shell. Chop them up a little bit like so, not too fine. And this recipe is actually using mushrooms. So here I have a cremini mushroom sliced and a shiitake mushroom sliced. Probably my two favorite mushrooms for making soup. I'm going to start out with a little bit of butter and allow that to melt. I'm going to take some brunoise, or as we like to say in the chef language, 1/8 of an inch diced shallot, minced garlic, chopped up prosciutto ham, Italian prosciutto. If you like jamon serrano better, that's fine, but once it goes in the soup, you really can't tell the difference. Then I'm going to add some of the mushrooms, the creminis, and the shiitakes. Now, you don't want to add too many. It's just about a cup and a half of mushrooms, because this is a chestnut soup, not a mushroom soup. The mushrooms, more than anything, add to a good creamy soup. And lastly, I'll add the chestnuts in. This cooks really fast. This soup is a very quick cook. Basically, you already have roast chestnuts, so all you're waiting for is the mushrooms to saute into that rendering of the prosciutto and, of course, the butter. All right, I'm going to add a little bit of fresh chopped rosemary and a little bit of fresh chopped thyme. You see how the mushrooms have just started to soften and the prosciutto has rendered? That's what you're looking for to go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. The next thing is chicken stock, which I like to use nice warm chicken stock so I'm not shocking the vegetables. And a little bit of cream, just a little tiny bit of cream. It's not much. So I'm going to let this cook for a good 20 minutes, and when you come back, I'll puree it and I'll show you how creamy and delicious it is.
Got nothing to do tonight? Got a hankering for a good cocktail with some good people? Oh, and got a Santa suit? Well then, join the Santapalooza Bar Crawl in downtown Fort Lauderdale and start the holidays off at one of about a dozen bars. For info and pricing, go to barcrawlnation.com. Santa suit, optional. Or, are the holidays getting too crazy and too commercial for you? Well, celebrate Festivus for the rest of us tomorrow as the Abbey Brewing Company holds their annual Seinfeld-inspired minimalist non-holiday holiday party. There's even a George, Jerry, Elaine, and Kramer look-alike contest. More info at abbeybrewinginc.com.
SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
So as we wait a few minutes for the soup to get ready, what a perfect time to show you how to make delicious, crispy roast duck. To me, it's really all about the skin. So to get that skin ready and to tighten it a little bit, you take some just boiled water and you ladle it right over the skin. And what this does is makes the skin nice and taut. Once you've done that, the most important part to cooking a really good crispy skin duck is getting it really, really, really dry, because that's the only way. If you have any type of humidity whatsoever, your duck skin will never get good and crispy the way you really want it. The next step would be to dry the skin really well with a towel all over inside and outside the cavity, the whole thing. Dry it really well, either with paper towels or with just a regular kitchen towel. And then the only thing you have to do is season the duck heavily with salt and pepper, and then you're ready. I like to use a roasting rack. This is a V roasting rack. I insert it into a roasting pan, and I always put a little tiny bit of water into the roasting pan, only because a lot of fat is going to drip off the duck, and it'll drip onto the water. That way it doesn't ruin your pan. So this is going to cook for about 2 hours and 15 minutes at a good 425 degrees. I'll cook this beauty breast side up for 45 minutes, flip it over, and then flip it over again. Okay, so that takes 3 times, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I'll show you how beautiful it will come out. So the next thing I wanted to get started as I'm waiting for my soup to almost be ready is my favorite side dish for roast duck is actually braised cabbage. This is something I grew up eating always with our goose or our duck. It's delicious, and it's not too hard to make. So you take some julienne, finely julienne, red cabbage, a nice julienne of shallot, and all you basically need from there is a touch of butter, some fennel seeds, which I love fennel seeds. You don't have to use them, but they're delicious. They give a nice aroma as you're cooking your cabbage. Some red wine vinegar and a little bit of chicken stock. So put some butter into your pot, add some shallot, add the cabbage, and we're just going to let that soften a little bit before we add everything else. The perfect balance of red wine vinegar is sugar is essential for this. That's pretty much what makes sweet and sour cabbage so good. So you don't want it to be too sweet, because it's really about that great balance. I love about a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar to about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. So again, I'm going to let that shallot and the cabbage just cook in the butter a little bit. All right, it's time to puree the soup. You see how I've chopped up those roast chestnuts for a little bit of garnish, so I'll put a little bit on the bottom. Everything in the soup has softened up nicely. Oof, it smells intoxicatingly good. Let me ladle those ingredients in. Make sure you get every little bit of those chestnuts in there. There we go. Okay. And we're looking for a beautiful, perfect puree. Let's see how this is. Looks good. So let me show you what it looks like on the spoon. See how it's really creamy? Not too creamy, but nice and thick. It's so yummy. All right, pour yourself a little bowl. A little bit of fresh chestnut right over the top. What a great start to a Christmas with your friends and family. All right, let's move over to the cabbage, where, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's definitely getting nice and hot. It's just starting to soften a little on the bottom. I'm going to add that fennel seed that I talked about, vinegar, sugar, and of course a little bit of salt. Mix it just a little bit. Add chicken stock to it. And I always cover it for the first 45 minutes. And once it's really tender, I remove the top and I let it dry out a little bit and get nice and glazy. So that'll take about 45 minutes. And when we come back, hopefully that duck will be ready that I put in a little bit ago. And I can show you how that cabbage came out really nice and tender. And we'll enjoy Christmas together.
Roasted duck and Pinot Noir. It simply gets no better. Try this. Willamette Valley Pinot Noir 2011 from Rocco Winery. From Rollins Souls, one of the 20 most admired winemakers in North America. This wine reminds you of cherry pie and vanilla ice cream. The deep red fruit flavors prevail along with a hint of rich Nubian leather and possibly plum and cherry preserve. There's also a shake of white pepper in the back palate with a plum finish that continues to roll around your mouth smiling. Or try this, Davis Bynum Pinot Noir Jane's Vineyard Russian River Valley 2013. This delicate and graceful wine has all elements in balance with complexity, interest, and above all, deliciousness. This ruby red Pinot Noir has a beautiful hue with aromas of cherry, cranberry, tea leaves, dusty oak, and baking spices. On the palate, the dark cherries, red plums, and vanilla characteristics shine through with balance, acidity, and a nice lingering finish. Enjoy this wine with a variety of dishes including truffle mushroom risotto, roasted beetroot vegetables, or Michelle's roasted duck. Back in a moment with the recipe to warm the cockles and all other parts of your heart.
I'm Melinda Harper, on the road for SoFlo Taste in Miami at Lulu's Nitrogen Ice Cream, where the craft of creating ice cream is a real blast. Get ready to turn down the heat for the holidays at a shop that puts the dip in degrees by combining science and sweets to make one of SoFlo's favorites in a flash. Louisa, why did you decide to open a liquid nitrogen ice cream shop?
I thought it was the coolest, most fascinating tool to make sure that we can get the freshest ice cream possible. We get to freeze every serving to order, and we get to use ingredients with no preservatives, emulsifiers, or stabilizers. So the process is really, really fun. We start with our liquid base. We make it all in-house from scratch. We adopted a cow, and we get all our milk and cream from the farm where she lives. So we're not using pre-made ice cream base. We're actually getting milk, cream, your raw ingredient.
And that's part of the great thing about using the liquid nitrogen, right? Like less ice, more cream.
Yeah, so smaller ice particles. That's the key. That's what happens when we use the liquid nitrogen. So that's why it's smoother.
Go make some. Let's go make some ice cream.
I'm excited.
All right, let's go.
We start here with our base that we make in-house. In this case, we're making key lime, so our delicious condensed milk and our key lime juice. We hook into our mixer. Get our mixer going. And then we're going to add the magic element, the liquid nitrogen. It can take anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds to freeze a serving of ice cream. Some of the flavors freeze more quickly than others.
And we've chosen the key lime with the graham cracker.
Yes.
Must be fun for the kids to watch, for everybody to watch, right?
Kids and adults alike definitely come in and start playing with the smoke. It's a lot of fun.
Is it dangerous?
It's not. So actually 78% of the air we breathe is nitrogen. It comes out at negative 321 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why it freezes so quickly. And so we grab our scooper. Here's our delicious
Freshly made waffle.
Absolutely, we just baked it.
Now, this is the freshest ice cream I think I'm ever going to have.
And so what we do is our toppings, this delicious graham crumble, we throw on top. So here's your ice cream.
That is beautiful. Thank you.
Enjoy.
See.
What does it taste like?
It's delicious. It's really fresh and creamy. It has almost like a velvety texture. It's very smooth.
Yes.
Delicious.
At the shop, we always have about 8 flavors, 1 or 2 of which we rotate on a constant basis. We actually offer quite a few options for our vegan or lactose-free friends, and a lot of times that comes in the form of sorbets, so water and fruit-based.
With some flavor favorites available all year round and some that change with the season, it'll be a long time before you taste them all. But the one thing that doesn't change is Lulu's passion to serve ice cream that is fresh and chemical-free.
I'm here with my good friend Curtis, and soon you'll know why. We hope you've enjoyed your trip to Lulu's. We sure have.
Ready?
Thank you. Because they let me scrape the bowl. Welcome back. Check out the duck. Really nice and crispy. As crispy, I think, as you can get it. So I'm going to break that down in a second, but let me show you a really nice quick sauce that you can make for your roast duck. Take a little bit of butter in a pan, and I like sweet sauces for my duck, and I have some Madeira, one of my favorite fortified wines for sauces. A little bit of some shallot that are diced really nice and tiny, and that just cooks for a couple seconds. And then finally a little bit of flour. If you're not eating flour these days, you can easily do the reduction of the Madeira with a little bit of chicken stock without the flour. But the flour just really thickens it quickly and brings it all together. So see how it's all coming together? I'll cook that out for another minute or so, and then mix in the Madeira. I'll mix that and let it reduce slightly. Check out the cabbage. The cabbage is beautifully tender, really nice and red. I know that it has the vinegar, but it's very delicate and subdued thanks to the chicken stock and the sugar, and it's just delicious. And as I wait for everything to come together, I'm going to go ahead and cut a little piece of that duck for you all. I think I'll start with the leg. Cut it at the leg bone, and then using your hand, you just delicately open it up like so. It allows you to kind of see where you're going, and it separates the bone like so. And then if you're fancy, you take off this bottom bone like so and serve that whole duck leg. And then of course the breast, as we know, splits down the center. Come down the breastbone to easily slide off the breast meat. There we go. And I'll cut that into a couple of pieces. And that's just lovely. I'm going to add a little bit of the sauce. I don't really need much, but just a tiny drizzle of the Madeira. Bring over my cabbage and serve a little bit of this juicy, delicious red cabbage. Oh, this makes me so happy. You know, for me, this holiday food is just happy food. And this just brings me back to wonderful memories in my home of Mom cooking my dad's favorite dishes. So this is for you, Mom and Dad. This is my Christmas gift to you. Enjoy. No matter where you are in the country, I know it's hot here, but everybody loves hot chocolate. And everybody has their own way of making hot chocolate. Most of you would say, yeah, a little bit of cocoa, right, with a little bit of milk or water. It's a very simple process, but I just wanted to make one for you. Maybe it's just that I wanted to drink a little hot cocoa on the show. So I wanted to bring one of my favorite chocolates for this hot chocolate. It's called Scharfenberger. It's actually my favorite chocolate for hot chocolate. It's really dark and yummy and delicious. So I've got some hot milk. I've got some fresh chopped chocolate. Pour it in. I'm going to use just a little tiny pinch of salt. Make sure that it's all melted in there. Let's see. Oof. I do not need any sugar. All right. Marshmallows, of course. Most people put them on top. I always put them in first. That way they melt in there. I'm going to go for 4. I don't really know who my other person is, but I'm hoping somebody comes and enjoys this cup with me. And pour that hot chocolate right over the top. Now you can use your cocoa all you want, but to me, a great bar of bittersweet dark chocolate is the best thing in the whole world. It might be Christmas, but I'm not going to make another one. This is all for me. All right. This is me signing out. Merry Christmas. Make these recipes. Enjoy each other. And if anything, go out for pizza. See you later.